is right after the consent agenda.
Oh, okay.
That's okay with me.
All right. Yeah. Sure. I gotta take some pictures.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We're actually gonna have a section.
Angel, I couldn't hear you.
She seems to have turned her mic off. Angel, can you hear us? Because your audio is off, which means we can't hear anything in the room.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I just-
Okay,
So I
are
was,
you gonna keep your audio on so we
I
can
will,
hear?
yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Everybody's okay with like what we did last week. And to make sure everybody's okay with the treasurer's report, because that's where we as a group take responsibility for the financial condition. We got all those things approved. And that's the treasurer's report as submitted. Or do we have Kim? So Kim's gonna present the report before I ask her this. Exactly. She presented that is people are not going to ask the question before we ask them to take responsibility for financial condition. We don't put all responsibility for the rest entirely on the shoulders of the treasurer. That's the whole point of including what we vote on before we get this. Yep, I'm good with that. Okay. Yeah, we still got a few people coming. Have you started recording yet? Yes, we're recording.
Yeah. I don't need to be in the.
Looks like most everybody's here. Yeah, I agree. Denise, could you get the door, please?
Hi, Jim.
Oh, hi.
Oh, yeah. Hi there.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Well, good. Good to see you.
Good to see
Yeah, it looks like everybody's getting settled, so I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Tillamook County Dems, December 7th, 2024, our organizational meeting. We have a change to the agenda. We're going to move up the election of officers that's scheduled at 1:55 to start immediately after the approval of the consent agenda.
Talk a little louder in the back row.
Give an audience.
Yeah, I see that. I'm not used to projecting. Plus, I've been sick, and I'll get into that a bit. We're changing up the agenda. We're moving the election of officers that was scheduled for 1:55 until right after we do the consent agenda. So once we do the consent agenda, we'll immediately go to election of officers, and Sandy Johnson will be presiding over that.
Does that include the election of the alternates as well?
Yes. Any other questions? Any questions at all on the agenda? Yes,
Why are we changing that?
well, first of all, I think it's in the bylaws in my hazy memory, but also we want to get the new officers installed as soon as possible into the meeting, right? Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to,
Kathy Blevins has her hand up.
I'm sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything that was said except for what you were saying. I didn't, from the audience, I did not hear what that part of the conversation was. I don't know if the other Zoom people.
Yeah, so let me answer that. The one question was whether we were going to be electing alternates. The answer to that question was yes. The other question was about why we're moving the elections up in the agenda, and that was to install the answer was to install the new officers as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, where was I? Oh, yeah. I want to take a minute for a point of personal privilege. I want to, first of all, make an apology to all of you. I've been sick pretty much since Thanksgiving, and it was not fun. And because I wasn't getting phone calls or emails, or wasn't checking on them really, I missed a couple of deadlines. One of them, I think the important one was for our voting delegates to the SEC meeting that will be held tomorrow. I am going to that meeting. I will be there tomorrow morning. I will try to get re-credentialed as a delegate if that's possible. If not, you have my humble apologies. Also, I want to apologize. I am way behind on emails and phone calls again because I've been ill since Thanksgiving. For everybody who's left me a voicemail and I haven't got back to you or sent me an email, I will do my best over the next several days to get all caught up, and hopefully that will take place. Of course, if you elect somebody else's chair, I don't have to do anything but take a nap. Also, I would really like to thank all of you who are here and all of you who were Zooming in, who volunteered at the office during the election. You guys were amazing. We had so many people there and help us out. And the office was, I think most people would consider it a success. We had, I think, what was it, Sandy, around 40 or so volunteers that at least 40 volunteers, many of whom had never dealt with TillcoDems at all before. So that was very exciting. We raised, how much was it? We raised
About
$6,500 in contributions from our activities in the office. We could not have done that without the folks who volunteered their time and energy to help us out with that. So again, a really big thanks to them, and a huge thanks to my fellow officers. We've had a difficult time this summer and fall. A lot of things changed quickly. And without their help, we couldn't have got the success that we did out of that. So I really want to thank my fellow officers and especially my treasurer, who is no longer going to be my treasurer.
Can I
Through
just
no fault of
interrupt?
her own.
I'm interrupting. We need to thank this guy.
Thank you.
Amazing.
So,
Always in the office, every time I've showed up in the office. Yeah.
I don't think he was planning to be chair.
no, I wasn't. I went to sleep as first vice chair and woke up as chair. It was traumatic to say the least. So that was my point of personal privilege. Thank you for listening to me. So moving on to the consent agenda. Has everybody seen the recording? Apparently we didn't send out any minutes this time. Any problems with the recording of the minutes? Yeah, from the October meeting. You know, I believe that comes with a motion to accept. If not, let's have a motion to accept the minutes.
I move we accept the minutes.
And we have a second. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hands. And it appears to be unanimous. Any opposed? It is unanimous. Thank you very much. So we move on to the treasurer's summary report.
Right.
That would be you, and this would be the last one, right? Okay,
I'm hoping that you all got to see the summary report.
louder for the people in the back row.
The summary report has been out there with the agenda and everything else, the treasurer's summary report ending October 31st. I hope you, that's budget, right?
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's the agenda.
We're gonna do that too. So anyway, I hope you all got to see it. I have it up on my computer if anybody has a question. Bottom line, things are looking good at the end of the year. We still have a number of expenses that need to be reimbursed. So that has to happen this month so that we have a clean, record at the end of the year. So any of you who have not given me receipts, gotta have them so I can reimburse you. And so I'm thinking that probably, I think we have about 16,000 in the bank as of today. And I'm thinking that that won't drop very much by the end of the year, maybe to 15,000, but that's way more than we've ever closed out a year with ever. So bravo, everybody.
Yeah, amen.
Does anybody have a question about the summary report? And by the way, if you need the detailed report, I can always send that to you. I've done that with some of you. So just send me an email and I'll do that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that comes with a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? On the question, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. And thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
So let's move on to elections. Sandy, why don't you-
I think most of you know me, but there's a couple. I'm the chair of the nominations committee. And the nominations committee consists of Ruth LaFrance, Denise Steele, and myself. According to the bylaws, we are appointed by the executive committee, and our job is to run elections and to make nominations for officers. Although that doesn't mean that nominations cannot come from the floor today. We have, the nominations committee sent out a notification by email that the officer positions would be open for election on this date at the organizational meeting. And we did receive a few responses with people suggesting and nominating candidates for officer positions. And we did contact everyone. Some people accepted, some people did not. The people that did accept are listed here on the board. So today, the people that can vote for officers are the people that are elected in the general election. If you are elected at a meeting, you're not allowed to vote for the officers, although you are authorized to vote for the second alternate to the C and CD. Let's see. So we have nominated, the nominations committee will be nominating for chair Dave Rahan, first chair Ruth LaFrance, second vice chair Mary McGinnis, secretary Cole Burkeen, treasurer Michael Weisenfluth. And I think most of us know everyone except Michael, who is kind of new to attending the TillcoDems meetings. And Michael is here with us today. And I don't know if you want to have each candidate say something. I would like to have at least Michael stand up and introduce himself and give a little bit about his background.
If I might just suggest that before you get into that, you might want to ask if there's any nominations from
Good
the
idea.
floor.
Thank you. Are there any nominations from the floor? Eats?
I don't know if people are interested, but I would love to nominate Jim Heffernan and Stiley, can't remember your first name, sorry.
Dave.
Or Dave Stiley for delegate, if they're interested.
Well, I don't like to travel.
Yeah, but I like to read and think and talk. You have so many good opinions about all of that. You have really possibly one of the best overarching perspectives of the big picture of probably anyone in this organization. And it'd be great if you could go there, help them hear us and help us hear them, because that's really a lovely thing. That's what they truly feeling a connection to the DPO.
Let me just point out, Dave's last name is.
Shively, sorry.
That's okay, thank you.
And Dave, your response?
Yeah, thank you for the line. I would like to become more familiar with TillcoDems and the way we work before I try to represent it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Jim, that you would consider?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's, when you really think about it, it's important for our voices to be heard, more than just in our own little group.
Yeah.
And I can see how it would be a good opportunity.
Really good.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Just a clarification, is that position available to attend by Zoom?
SCC meetings are often not, they just don't allow for it as much as they need to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Tim?
Excuse me.
I can comment on that. By default, I've been attending the SEC meetings, most of them for the past few years. And oftentimes I'm elevated to be the alternative because nobody else is showing up for those for some of the meetings, not all of them. But the SEC, a lot of people have been asking SEC to have virtual participation and such, and I think they've been dragging their heels. And there was even a rumor that one of our senators said, no, you can't have virtual meetings. It's against the bylaws or whatever, and that's been debunked. And so now apparently it's been debunked because I'm on the credentialing committee for the SEC, and I just got a list of people that applied to attend and also be credentialed by their county parties to attend virtually. So you can attend, from what I understand, the SEC meetings now business meetings, which are usually the second day in the early afternoon, virtually. In terms of CD1, Congressional District 1, they have meetings every quarter, and that's by Zoom.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
So I have a question for Tim. You said that they can attend remotely. Can they also vote remotely? I think that came up at Seaside, and they weren't allowed to vote if they were.
I don't have a specific answer for that, but if they've been credentialed by the DPO, then the only reason you'd be credentialed would be to be able to vote. So I assume that's what it is. I'm attending tomorrow, and
Yeah, I will be too.
to the credential committee meeting. I'll flush out that question.
Thanks.
Sure.
Mary?
I have a question. I'm looking at the ballot and it says both SCC and CD1 alternate and on the same ballot election. And in the past, we've often voted for those as two separate positions. Now that we have two nominees, is that a possibility that we could also vote for those as two separate positions?
I don't see why we couldn't do that. We could do that, I would think. I think that the reason that we did together is because we had one nominee. So we could do it together. For those that aren't familiar with the representatives for the SCC and CD, the first vice chair and second vice chair, I think it is, are automatic representatives.
Well, it's the chair and the first vice chair are automatic representatives, and then typically the second vice chair is the first alternate.
Okay,
And that's why
why we are speaking second alternate in this election. What are the thoughts of the group as far as voting separately? We can just have you write at the, split them out, SCC and CD on the ballot at the bottom, just to make it clear. So, on the ballot is.
Are you still taking nomination?
I was just gonna ask, go ahead.
I would like to make a nomination for the second alternate for CD specifically, in the person of Eves, because I think through that, she may even be able to be elected onto the DPO's communications team and budget team through the CD. And I think she could offer some strong and interesting insight and influence the DPO through that.
Well, thanks, Steve. I think you're right. However, I must decline because I got some exciting plans for the TillcoDems fundraising. So we get that happening and it works and you got some evidence to show to other people, that would be fantastic.
That's why I thought CD, because they can meet virtually, so it's much less of a time.
Yeah, I'm still working on the so definitely not ready to step it up a notch and have a bigger fight on my hands. Well, but thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Structure and fundraising so that it's not an issue anymore. That's the plan.
Thank you. Mary?
We have some newer people here. Could you tell them what the CD1 does and what the SCC does before they vote?
I would like to have someone else do that. If you'd like to explain it, you know it better than I do.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So the, hope people on Zoom can hear from back here.
If you'll stand up, I think it'll help them hear a little bit, yeah.
So why don't you come up here so everyone can hear? And while Mary's coming up here, as far as voting, why don't we have everyone split their ballot, the second alternate for SCC on the top and write second alternate for CD below that, so that we can see who you're voting for SCC and then who you're voting for CD.
Yeah, and does anybody still need a ballot or can raise your hand and I'll bring it to you?
Sandy, did you indicate that You have to be a PCP, you have to be
Elected.
elected. Okay.
Elected, except for the second alternate.
Oh, okay.
If you're
Yeah.
appointed, you can vote for that position.
Oh.
Well, so
Yeah.
the delegates, you don't have to be an elected PCP to vote for delegates.
Right,
Because
right.
whether they're
Mhm.
all second alternate or what.
Okay.
So the SCC is the State Central Committee, and that is the equivalent of you on the state level with the Democrat Party. So, what you do here as, the Central Committee for the TillcoDems, making policy, passing resolutions, solving problems. The delegates from all 36 counties, and it's based on the population of the county, how many delegates they get, meets at the state level and does the same thing for the state party. So that's when we say SCC, that's the State Central Committee delegates doing that. CD1 is Congressional District 1, and that's our Washington DC Congressional District, which is made up of Tillamook, Clatsop, Columbia County, parts of Washington, Multnomah. It's basically our Senate district and a little bit more, state Senate district. And what happens there is, since that's a more localized thing and not statewide, we meet and they have a chairperson, and, they have minutes and meetings like this, and we just talk about our more local problems that we want the federal government and our federal representatives to work on there. Is that, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one
Thank you.
question on that. So from CD1, do you send some type of representation to Washington, like as like a collective, or you just stay in the CD1 and do stuff there?
I'm going to look at Tim and Dave so I've been as for either first vice or second vice chair. I've gone to a lot of CD1 meetings, and we've never done anything outside just meet and solve our own local problems. But maybe you all have seen something happen.
I mean, it's local, but the CD has direct communication with a member of Congress.
Yes.
So Congresswoman Bowman, there's direct connection there, but the CDs also send representatives to the state central committee.
And
In the form of a delegate and a budget committee member and a events committee member and et cetera, et cetera.
And our US representative, whether it's Bonamici or when it was Schrader or whoever, they either someone from their office or they usually come to our CD1 meetings. Yeah.
I have a question for Sandy. So since Tim was on here as SCC and CD1, is he now in both categories?
Yes,
SCC and
yes, he's
CD1?
nominated by the nominations committee for both categories. So on your ballot,
Right,
if you
so
would,
he's on
yeah.
both. So I wanted to be clear,
so if you want to vote for the second alternate for CD, Tim Borman, write his name down there. If you want to vote for Jim Heffernan, write his name down there.
okay, I would like to clarify that I would like to nominate him specifically for SCC.
SCC, okay. Does everyone understand that Tim is only nominated, or not Tim, Jim Heffernan is only nominated for the SCC, and Tim Borman is nominated for the SCC and for the alternate CD. Second alternate,
Second alternate.
sorry.
You'll know, even if we don't
Yeah.
like.
So
second
Jim
alternate.
is for.
CC, CD. Oh, I'm sorry, SCC.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. And Tim,
For both.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Tim.
One thing, Jim, I really think it's important that we get more and more people involved with officer and delegate responsibility and such. We get the same kind of people oftentimes doing the same thing over and over again, same members of the committee, same officers, same chairs of committee, et cetera, et cetera. I'm on two committees with SCC already, the State Central Committee. I attend those meetings anyway. If I'm not an elected alternate, I still attend the meetings and such. I just wouldn't have the ability to vote. However, I can also be appointed if, say, for instance, only one of the other delegates will be able to make it. I'm gonna be there already, and the reason I put my name in anyway was so it would make it easier for the chair to go, oh, well, Tim's already an alternate, and then the chair doesn't have to do a formal designation of another alternate to fill in and such. So I'm happy as heck that Jim's interested in becoming an SEC delegate, and I'm gonna be, I attend those meetings as well. And I also attend the meetings, the CD1 meetings anyway, whether I'm an official delegate or not. So Jim, if you'd like to attend both of those, I would be happy to have your input, fresh personality ideas and such, and you have such a way with words. It would be a wonderful representation to Tillman County. So I will withdraw my name for nomination. Now it's an alternate since I attend those meetings anyway.
But you wouldn't have a vote then automatically if you aren't elected, correct?
Only if it was necessary. But I attend those meetings anyway. For other reasons, I'm on the credentials committee that helps credential the delegates and such, and I'm also on the special committee for diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm already involved with the DPO and the SEC.
Are you withdrawing just from SEC or from both?
I'll withdraw from both of them. That's fine.
But then
Nobody ready.
Jim's only nominated for SEC, not
We could use him in CD1 as well, and it's a Zoom meeting. It's a Zoom meeting, lasts about an hour to an hour and a half every quarter. On a Monday evening, I think it's at like 6 o'clock at night.
Is that a nomination?
I nominate Jim to be a second alternative delegate to this, to Congressional District 1 as well as SEC.
Are you willing to accept the nomination to both of them, Jim?
Yes. And I'm very confident.
So Sandy, may I just add one more thing, because Tim said he would only go and vote if it was necessary. Necessary means that if the chair, the first vice chair, the second vice chair, and the second alternate can't go for some reason, the chair just appoints someone to go, and so then Tim could be appointed. And that does happen sometimes because they have these meetings, the SCC meetings in Roseburg and Bend, and there's an expense to go and time commitment. So sometimes Tim could be appointed.
Okay.
Just for informational sake, the SEC meeting is right now and tomorrow.
Exactly right.
And so sometimes there's conflicts like this as well.
And also just for informational, you get reimbursed for the expenses, right?
No, I never did.
If you request.
If you request it, so yes. Mary, if you request.
No, it's just like this.
I'll say that when I was chair of those meetings, on my limited budget, I put in for reimbursement for gas. And I always shared, in fact, Mary shared with me one time a hotel room and put in for our reimbursement there. Yes.
You can request from the DPO reimbursement or for, I believe hotels, I'm not sure about mileage, but for hotel.
So at this point, these are the nominations. Second alternate for SCC and CD is Jim Heffernan on both of those. So we'll cross Tim out. Right. And not Jim. Okay, so go ahead. We are going to hear from Michael, and I was just going to ask, Dave, did you want to say a few words? I can ask each of the candidates to say a few words if you'd like. David?
Just a point of order. So I would like to suggest that each of the candidates just do a short introduction. And I have a feeling we'll go by acclamation. which I won't oppose, but I would like to ask the 4 candidates who are looking to represent us in the SCC and CD one to also address whether or not you intend, or how you intend to represent us. Just based on what you think is best, or if you're gonna, if and how you're gonna solicit feedback from the other members of this organization as you represent us. If you would address that during your, I don't know how much time Sandy's gonna give you to.
Could you come over here?
Sure.
No. No, we need to set a time, we can't go.
And I was just gonna ask if they could come over here.
I think it would be good then with the speakers on the Zoom. Should we start with you, Dave? Yes, let's do 2 minutes and I'll be there.
I was thinking 10 seconds.
10 seconds. Dave gave you a bigger task. Yeah, just the moment here, I got my timer.
Okay. I'll not start early and take advantage. Okay. Hi, everybody. Dave Rohan. I am your current temporary chair, I guess. I came up through the labor movement. First became a union member back in 1976, I think it was, and am still a member of the same union. I was chair of political action committees for a couple of different local unions and eventually wound up on staff advising the political action committees for Portland area local unions. I was first vice chair of TillcoDems for a little less than a year. And then due to resignation, I became chair, which is where I'm at right now. I think my priorities coming up, this was something I was going to get into a little later on too, was one of the things I see that I would really like to work on with the TillcoDems is our committee structure. I think that in order to have a strong local Democratic Party, we have to have strong committees. And a lot of our committees right now are short of members. And there's a couple that don't even have a chair. And so I'm strongly urging everybody in this room and everybody who's watching to please consider signing up for a committee. It's not a whole lot of work. It's a lot of reward. It can be a lot of fun. We've got several committees. I think the committee chairs will be a little later on offering up a brief description of what their committees are. For those of you in the room, we have committee descriptions up here on the wall. We'll be passing out some sticky notes. You can put your name on the sticky note and put it on any committee you want, and we will be in touch and let you know how you can play with us. And Dave, could you, I wasn't sure, is that your question? Is that something you want me to answer? Or just the,
All right.
good, I'm out of here. Thank you, folks.
I need a hook.
Yeah, as
Yeah,
the chair, first vice chair, second vice chair, and a second alternate all represent us.
Okay, that part I wasn't clear on. I wasn't clear whether you wanted the officers to discuss that or whether you just wanted the alternates to discuss that.
In
Yeah,
my opinion, all 4.
okay,
Why
well,
don't you
my
take a
time
few
is up,
minutes-
so.
Take a couple minutes if you'd like and respond to that because it's important.
Yeah, it is. And pretty much, you know, with my experience through the labor movement and through politics, I believe that any direction that the organization sets as an officer in that organization, I'm going to follow that direction. So I'm going to ask you folks and you folks who are on Zoom where you're at. And we will go through whatever process we need to, whether it's we try to reach consensus or whether we make motions and take votes or whatever. But it's not my opinion that counts. It's the opinion of the Democrats in Tillamook County. And does that answer your question?
You think? Okay, good enough? All right, bye.
It's never gonna be good enough.
Next, Ruth?
Crystal France, so I've been with the TillcoDems.
Up here, Ruth.
I've been with the TillcoDems since 2016. I'm an elected PCP in Fairview. And right now I'm chair of governance and vice chair of events. And I've kind of sat in on legislative a bit. And I serve on 3 boards here in Tillamook County. And basically in Tillamook, I'm on the Tillamook County Library Foundation. We're building a park over here. And I'm also on the City Planning Commission and on the City Urban Renewal Agency. And I guess next year I'll be chair of the Urban Renewal Agency. Anyway, so I have some board experience. As far as going to these meetings, it's not really something I'm thrilled about, but kind of echo what Dave said. I'm not sure that we've ever spent much time saying, what do you people think is important? And what do you want us to say when we go to the state? So that would be kind of one of my priorities, that we do that we figure out how to put that into our meetings and get some response and then take it. So.
Thank you. I'm going to start my timer. I'll give you a few more minutes. Go ahead and start. I'm Mary McGinnis, and I am currently second vice chair. Over the last 6 years or so, I've been first vice chair, second vice chair, and when we were without a chair, I've stepped up to be the interim chair. And I'm also a PCP in Rockaway. I'm on city council in Rockaway, and some of you haven't seen me in the office this time because I was part of a core team that worked to get 5 city councilors and a mayor elected in Rockaway, and that was all the energy I had at the moment to get that done. We were successful, I will say that, and I do want to, that's a Rockaway resident there. And I will also I want to point out that our core team consisted of Michael Weisenfluh. So I have, you all don't know him well, but many of you don't know him well. But I worked, and Sandy Johnson was on our core team too. Michael's wife was on our core team, and she's a go-getter. And but anyway, I got to work daily for months with Michael. So if anyone has questions about that, I can vouch. As to answer Dave's question, in the past, as second and first vice chair, working with, say, Fred Bassett or whoever, Cole, when he was chair, I would make up a Google survey. So the SCC agenda tells us what they're going to vote on ahead of time. So I would make up a Google survey and send out to the PCPs to see how you felt about those issues. And then that's what we would base our vote on. Our previous chair, just past previous chair, did not want to do that. So we quit doing it, but I would be glad to work with Dave and Ruth and pick up that Google survey and get your feedback, specific feedback on that, because I too believe we're not there to represent our values. We're there to represent your values.
Yeah.
I will hopefully be quick here. I'm cold routine, Angels laughing because being quick is not my strong suit. I guess I'm up for secretary, and I would love for anybody else who wants this job to take this job. But you know, it fits my strengths reasonably well. I can do this job another term or two. What my passion really is the neighborhood leader program and building kind of building the party from the ground, from the bottom up. That's what I care about. And you will see me doing a lot of stuff. I like to recruit people. I am a bred in the bone, longtime recruiter since I was in high school, and I like to twist arms. So I'll do a lot more of it.
Do you want to address the issue of the SC?
He's not a-
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Okay.
hope not.
Thank you. You're up next, Michael.
Hi, Michael Wise is who I know. I don't know many of you. I've worked with Tom at the college. Andrea is my boss at the college. I've spent all of my life, first of all, lifelong Democrat. I worked at the college for the last 25 years teaching accounting. Actually like accounting, so that's why there's sometimes vacancies in treasurer positions. And I've been lurking in the background with the TillcoDems for a while, and I really enjoyed the way you all work together in your organization. I was on the leadership team at the college for over a decade before I retired. I'm on the board of the foundation, so I'm used to working with people. Politically, as Mary said, I've worked on a couple campaigns in Rockaway Beach, two cycles, and have been successful there. I don't like to lose. And then I also work I'm also on the budget committee of the college and for Tillamook County too. So there's some political aspirations there. So that's about it for me. I'll be here if anybody else has any other questions, or I'll take them now if anybody has questions. Not if that's appropriate, so.
Because you had time limit.
I have time. I don't have to answer Dave's question.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, so if there are no other questions, and we only have one candidate for each position, if you would like, we can vote by acclamation. Is that appropriate?
You're the chair.
parliamentarian?
So are we gonna go through the alternate as well, or do everything together, or do these separate?
Well, you,
Oh.
there's
okay.
a qualification of who can vote for
Okay,
those, so those should be done separately.
so I would like to make a motion that we vote for the officers by acclamation.
Is there a second? All right, we have. All right, so all in favor of electing the candidates that are nominated, say aye, or raise your hand. How about raise your hand? Any opposition? Okay, passes unanimously. Okay. And now we vote for the second alternate.
We can do, both of the alternates by acclamation.
Yes, we can.
Same group.
And it's the same
Right.
candidate, right,
So-
one candidate. So okay,
Wait a minute, well, just make sure everybody understands that anyone can vote on that.
right. And so what we'll be doing,
Well, not anyone, any PCP can.
okay, right, there's a motion on the floor that we vote for both the second alternate for SCC and CD at one time. Is there a second for that? By acclamation.
Point of order. So,
Dave?
he's just said vote for both, that's, if we have one.
Well, I'm sorry, both positions.
Both positions, okay, thank you for that clarification.
I actually also have I guess, point of order, are we factoring in the folks on the Zoom for voting?
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Susan, and.
I'm chatting with them.
Okay,
and
okay,
they're
good,
voting
good.
with my chat.
Oh, thank you.
Just checking in.
Good point. Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I seconded it.
Oh, you did. Okay, thanks, Tim. Okay, all in favor of electing Jim Heffernan as second alternate for SCC and CD, raise your hand.
Too bad, Jim.
Don't.
Any opposition?
Wait, I got that.
All right, motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Sorry. Jim.
Yeah. I don't know,
I have a question. I appointed Ruth as our parliamentarian a while back, and I reappoint her. And I have a question. Ruth, do we,
New officers take effect
after the meeting? That was my question. Thank you. No, you can't move. You have to stay here. All right. So, got that done. So, next item of agenda is a voting on approval of the 2025-26 budget. Now I'll turn that over to Kim.
Okay, well, I hope you all got a copy. Anybody need one? This is the. Everybody okay? So just to let you know what the process was like, let's see, I'm chair as treasurer, chair of the budget committee. Members of the budget committee were Paul, Susan Tome, Dave McCall, and Tim Borman. So there were 5 of us. And I originally put word out to XCOM, the committee chairs, to submit their budgetary estimates for the coming biennium, which is 2025-2026. And so I gathered that information from the chairs, put together as best I could, a proposal to be discussed by the committee. The committee met, gosh, it's been, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. Great meeting, lots of great input, always. And we came up with this. And we voted on it. And I believe that our voting means that we're recommending this
That's
to
correct.
the membership to be approved. So what do we need to do next?
Well, any questions on the
Oh,
report?
That.
Okay, we have,
Oh, so let me just say before you start that the budget is just an estimate. Okay, it's our best guess, based on history and what the committee feels is the most are the most realistic goals for us. So, I'm sorry, Karen.
I noticed that there's nothing, for next year or 26, where it says. Yeah, done that for several years, but it was very successful and fun when we did it.
Sorry, we only did it after the long legislative session, not after the short. That's why it's 1 year, yes or no.
Thank you.
You did.
Talked in the last 2 years about a fund to reimburse PCPs for mailing expenses. And could you say where that's included for postage?
It's under membership.
Okay, I wondered.
Postage.
It seems small.
Does it?
Because answers. Just for me, it was $165. So I think it seems small if we want to make sure that people can get reimbursed if they ask.
Okay, and I think, and committee, correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't have any requests for reimbursement this time. So we were kind of guessing at this. So again.
I just say the intent, so the intent was so that if people are on fixed incomes and things and they want to get out the vote and mail out slate cards, that they can and get reimbursed. So I think if we're gonna provide that opportunity, it really needs to be a larger amount. We might not use it, but we don't have space. That would only be like 1 person.
If I can address this, I guess I should have, since I was on the vote committee, maybe I should have brought this up with the committee. What happened this last time with postage reimbursement is we started out kind of poor without a lot of money, and because we didn't anticipate that we were going to be so successful in raising so much money in mostly through the office, right? So about halfway through, I began to encourage neighborhood leaders to sort of that we would assume by default that we want to reimburse people. Now, when we started, we were saying to people, if you need reimbursement for postage expenses, let us know and we'll reimburse you. I think that going forward, we probably should. I wish I brought this up in budget committee. I don't know if we want to make this change now, but since this is just an estimate, I will say going forward, I think we'll be more aggressive, if that's the right word, but we'll encourage people proactively to submit their expenses for postage on the assumption that the party is going to pay for that. Right? Even if you don't particularly need reimbursement, you set a good example for others by requesting reimbursement, because there are people who are only going to be, able to do this if, it's not embarrassing to ask for reimbursement.
Right.
We discussed this a little bit. Based on the information we had at the time of the budget committee. That doesn't mean we're locked, the TillcoDems is locked into this budget, and the budget can be changed by the central committee. So for instance, this is brought up at the next meeting, let's up the ante for reimbursement for postage for PCPs and such. Then the entire central committee can then vote on that, and then the budget can be adjusted. And like other items too, with in the budget. This isn't, we're not locked into this number for the next 2 years. This is our best guess and just kind of a starting point as to what we've, based on our history in the past, how much we spent, and our best guess moving forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding on how that works.
And just, example, the elections committee last year had a budget of I think it was 3,200, and they ended up spending 5,200 because right before the election, we determined we wanted, as a group, we wanted to send 2,000 more to Andy's campaign. We did not have to go through a complete re-budgeting. So that's also something that can happen. So, Kim?
I'd like to perhaps that if someone intends to do a mailing, that they put their expected expenses for their precinct or their intention. And so it's ahead of time approved, as opposed to, oh, I'm gonna send out 5,000 things and I expect reimbursement. And then they are various and don't do it.
And I think that you're bringing up a really good point. We had a membership committee or a membership committee chair for months and months, way in advance of this last election. And perhaps if we had, there would have been more organization of PCPs and what they wanted to do and spend money on. So hopefully that will change. Mary?
I know, along with the things that we're talking about, I have a couple of questions. First of all, to the elections, how easy is it to move money around? Because I anticipate that this membership budget is far lower than what we'll actually spend. And I want to use myself as an example. In Rockaway, there are about 500 registered Democrats. And I went door to door, and I haven't hit all of them, but I've hit a big majority of them. And I used the free cards from the Democrats. So I haven't spent any money yet, but I can't do that a second time. So if all 29 precincts want their PCPs to do the connect, this is going to need to be a bigger budget. And how easy is it to move it around?
Oh, Stephen, can I respond?
Yeah.
First of all, hi, Stephen. This is not money. These are numbers on a page that represent an estimate.
Okay.
Okay. What we really, if we're going to spend where we haven't predicted, we need to be looking at how much money we have in the bank. And then in our bylaws, we also have a procedure by which changes need to, be observed to be affected. So, and if the bottom line of our budget is affected, then by some kind of expense or change, then that is something that the membership has to eventually vote on.
Okay.
Does
thank
that
you.
help?
No, that answered it.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Yeah.
But only if it's less, if it's more of that money just got moved, it just got spent without the membership voting on it. The extra money that went to Andy's campaign, it just got spent without. It changed the bottom line and that action happened.
Did we not vote on
And
it?
it's-
I thought we did vote on that.
In XCOM, but it should have come from the body, it didn't, and it didn't.
I believe we
According to
did.
what you just said.
Did I say it
Yeah.
wrong? Maybe I said it wrong. I don't remember.
It's an XCOM. Now, anyway, I have a question. The benefit budget meeting we have today, there must it, because to me, I think, we had a week in order to give you a budget, as a committee chair, I had a week to give you a budget. And then obviously I didn't get that budget. And I would love this organization to have a lot more interaction from all the individuals who have ideas on how we can do things. And I would definitely love to see us support PCPs more, not only in an election, but as soon as they're elected. So that actually supports the neighborhood leader program much more robustly. So that every PCP really feels empowered to talk to their constituents. And that's not currently reflected in the budget like at all, based on, you didn't have the knowledge, it's not your fault. But the only way we're gonna find out what people can do, wanna do, or willing to do, and then also how we can empower them by giving them great materials and strategy to then go out and do this and not have to have it like come out of their pocket, is to have a much more robust budget conversation where we talk about all the different places, because like for Mary's point, that a lot of her expense could come out of elections. Because it's not just about being a PCP, like maybe specifically for elections, shouldn't it come out of elections? So it seems elections needs more money, it seems membership needs more money. As you know, fundraising asks for more money. Thank you, we got more money. But it just seems like it's a bigger conversation than here's a thing and just vote yes on it. That's what feels like it's being offered right now.
I may not have the right answer to this. The way I look at it is, our organization is a particular structure that we abide by. And so ideally, membership would be doing what exactly you're talking about. But we have not had a membership committee or a membership chair.
Okay, so the question is, does the budget have to be approved today?
That's my understanding. Ruth?
Can I speak up here for a minute, Kim, as a budget committee member? Because Eves brings up something that I brought up during the budget committee meeting, which is we were looking at requests for funding that we had no history to compare it to. And also in other areas, because we seem to have a lack of committee members and committee chairs, we weren't really getting accurate feedback regarding what those committees intended to do in this upcoming 2 years. So not from every committee did we receive detailed information. And my question during the meeting was, it's not really up to the budget committee to decide how TillcoDems should be spending their money. It's up to the budget committee to create a balanced budget that makes some sense based on what kind of fundraising we think we're going to have, what kind of funds we're going to have to work with, and then try to meet each committee's needs. So I agree with you, Eves, that we really need to have this bigger conversation as a full body about how we want to spend our money, where do we want to focus, and then can we raise enough money to do that? But with the information we were given, this is our best estimate for moving forward. And as mentioned numerous times now, we can adjust this as we move into the future. If we find that committees are active and need more funding, then we need to find where that money comes from. It still has to balance. But that decision isn't up to the budget committee. So this is a starting point for the next 2 years.
Thank you, Susan. Mary?
Your names be announced.
That was Susan Tone, and she's a member of the Budget Committee.
Thank you.
And they're having a little trouble hearing on Zoom, so let's just speak up so that they can hear, through our microphones.
So I would draw my concern, given the information about how we can work with this down the road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. So, I just wanted to check with Ruth about, because you're governance and parliamentarian. We do need to vote on this today.
But you, because.
What's that?
Yeah, so it's already been recommended, and so you don't need a first and second, or every second, you just need to vote.
Oh. And who can vote?
Hey, all, PCPs can vote.
All PCPs elected and.
Appointed both.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a,
We do it.
all right, we have a motion on the floor to accept the treasurer's report. We've had discussion. All those in favor?
My second.
Sam? It came with a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just be sure and say that it's the budget for the biennium and not the treasurer's report.
Thank you. So we're voting on the budget for the biennium. Okay, as presented. So all of those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All opposed? Oh, it appears to be unanimous. All right, thank you very much. The
Probably should ask for abstentions.
oh, I'm sorry, any abstentions? Not seeing any abstentions. All right, thanks, Cole. Okay, moving on. Let me get my paperwork here. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a vote on whether to keep the office through the spring election. So I had a discussion with Ray, our current landlord, a couple of weeks ago. And Ray's agreed to, excuse me, continue our rental agreement through the end of May. And our rental agreement is for our office at 116 Main Street in Tillamook. Our rent for that office is $300 a month. Now that includes garbage and utilities. So it is a super deal. Pretty darn low rent for what we're getting with a such visibility in the downtown area. We can, and I'm looking for a sense from you guys whether you think this is worth doing. My thoughts on it were, we have these big windows. We can change out the message in those windows every couple of weeks to keep it fresh. We already have some value statements that we have posted on the walls. Inside, we can move those to the windows for a couple of weeks and then, you know, on and on. We can also use that space if for committee meetings or for whatever meeting we want to do. If we decide we need to take some action, the whole book ban brouhaha and at the Tillamook School District comes to mind. But let's just say that we wanted to have a protest or a parade or whatever it is we want to do. The office would make a great place to stage whatever that event is at a really low cost. It's also a great place for us to store our supplies. When I became chair, it was pointed out to me that these supplies are over here and these supplies are over at this person's house and this is in this guy's garage and who knows. So we now have a central place for all of our supplies. We have some furniture in there. So we're relatively well set up. The downside is there's no heat in the place and there's no air conditioning. But we do have some volunteers who have donated some space heaters. We've got another one coming in a few days as well.
so we can at least keep the climate in there bearable. And I thought that we do have school district elections coming up. That I think this would be a good thing for us to get more involved in. I mean, honestly, I felt that with all the drama we had over the summer, that we weren't really very well prepared for this election cycle. And I think this would give us a little bit of time to practice up. I mean, the school district elections are relatively small and not tremendously expensive. So this would give us some good practice and give us a good staging area for our next big campaigns coming down the road. Anyhow, those are just my thoughts. And I'm certainly open to hearing another side of the coin.
And Dave, didn't XCOM take this on and make a recommendation?
Yes, XCOM did discuss this, and they recommended that we do keep the office through the May election. So through the end of May, we would be renting it. Thanks for reminding me. So, and it does come with a motion and a second to approve. And I saw Tim had his hand up. All right, Tim, Sandy, and Mary. And do we have anybody, excuse me, anybody?
Dave.
Dave, anybody on the Susan, yeah, on Zoom, Susan Tone. Okay, starting with Tim.
And I think most importantly, it's a symbol that people see that we have an office in Tillman County. And even though we're sad how a lot of our elections didn't work out, we're not going quietly. We are still here in Tillman. And I think it's an important symbol. We noticed that with a number of people that were out of town that were traveling through Tillamook, and they stopped in the office just to say, thank you for having an office. So I think it's very important symbol.
And a lot of them gave us money too. Sandy.
As a member of the elections committee, I would definitely recommend that we keep the office through the next local elections. We use the office that we had before in the local elections to be able to work with candidates to prep them for their forums. It was a place for people to meet and get, talk about the elections and really recruit candidates. So I highly recommend that we keep the office through the next local elections.
Thank you, Sandy. Who's next? Mary.
Dave, I hope I'm not saying something that you are going to say later, because I sent this to you in an email.
Uh-oh.
But I'll mention a little bit of it. But I think this office got us a long way down the road when the elections committee was not able to get out and do things. And I'm going to use just a couple of examples. When I looked 2 weeks ago, Harris Walls only lost by 214 votes in Tillamook County. That's pretty amazing. We flipped Susan Bonamici's office. She lost Tillamook County in 2022. She won Tillamook County in 2024. And I think that office had a lot to do with that. Andy Davis, for those of you who've been around for a while, he got more votes in 2024 in Tillamook County than Logan Laity did in 2022. Wow. And Logan was one of our hometown people, was a PCP and secretary of the TillcoDems. And Andy Davis entered the race in August and still got more votes in Tillamook County than Logan did. And I could go on and on and on, but I think those statistics show that when we can't get out and knock on doors, that office is getting us votes. And I'm just heard Tim say maybe some money too.
Thank you, Mary. Dave.
So I just wanted to point out, you mentioned school district elections. So May is not just school districts, it's special district elections. True. And Tillamook County has a lot of them. So I remember several years ago when I served on a committee looking at different special districts and PCPs and things like that. So Tillamook County has more special districts than Multnomah County, for example. And a lot of that is because we're a coastal county. All of the coastal counties have a lot more because of our watersheds, our water districts, our watershed, things like that. But several years ago, I remember at one time we had, I want to say close to 100 offices open in the special district elections. those are important and the office can be really important for getting that out. That brings up a whole different challenge, which I'm not gonna bring up here, how you get the people for that and how you figure out who you're behind, because the time frame is very short. But it's more than just school districts. It's a lot of different districts.
Thank you, Dave. Susan Tone.
Yeah, this is Susan, and again, I'm gonna speak as somebody who was recently on the budget committee, and of course, we didn't actually budget for the office to continue. We didn't have that information, and so I'm always concerned about, well, how are we gonna pay for this? So I just I'm very much in favor of keeping the office open, but the how are we gonna pay for this question will arise at some point in the future. And I think we all need to commit to fundraising. Right now, we have a fundraising committee of one, and we are gonna need to find some ways to make some cash, and we can't count on the people visiting the office in non-election years to be donating in the same amounts that they were during a presidential campaign. So let's all get behind fundraising and make sure we can continue to afford to keep the doors open.
And if I might respond, Susan, actually the campaign office lease is budgeted for $1,500 each year.
Okay, that I don't think that's quite enough, but it's good we put something in.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Let's see. Ruth, did you have your hand up? Oh, okay. Great minds. All right.
Call for the question.
Question has been called for. All those in favor of ending debate, hold up your hand. You guys are surprised I knew what that was, weren't you? All those opposed, hold up your hand. Okay. Moving on to the vote. All of those in favor of keeping the office through the end of May, please raise your hand. Oh, I didn't get the vote. Thank you. All opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes, appears unanimously. Okay, so I got a place to take a nap in downtown Portland now. Oh, yeah, I'm in Tillamook.
He's been sick.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be in Portland right after this meeting, so it's on my mind. All right, next thing on the agenda is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Not seeing any.
I'm okay speaking about what the committee did.
Yeah, we could do that instead. Usually at the. Yeah, now this would be typically in under the agendas that I set up anyway. I asked for officer reports and committee reports. So typically we would have committee reports of, oh, what have you been doing lately, and so on and so forth. And usually I'll ask the chairs, but we had so much happening recently, I kind of dropped the ball on that. But it is on the agenda, so if there's any committee chairperson who wants to say something, now would be a good time. If there isn't, we can move on.
And the committee chairs are going to do something later.
Correct, yes.
Did submit on the form what we've been doing this month or last month.
On the committee report.
On the committee report.
Okay.
So that's on.
And the committee reports have already been sent out. Okay. All right. Well, moving along on the agenda then. Let's see. So we've done that, we've done that, we've done that. All right, Ruth, on the committee assignments.
TillcoDems to actually function, we need committees. And we have a whole group of standing committees. All of them are up here with a very short summary of what that committee does. And there are two committees that, which I've just gone. The white hair says, I do not remember the anyway, that are appointed. the members are. But all of these people can sign up for, and you can see that some people have already started doing that, so, I can ask if there are, chairs here that want to talk about this, the community, each one, we can do that. So you'll kind of know what these people do. And then we have little stickies like this, and on this you will put your name, please print your name, your email address, and your phone number so that we can get a hold of you. Okay, and then you'll take it, and you don't get just one, you can do. Anyway, so you take it and you go up here and you stick it up there, and we will see that that everybody's contacted, that some sort of a meeting is set up. It's not gonna happen this month. It will happen after the first of the year. Okay. This just isn't gonna do that, but, anyway, so communications. Mark, you would like to tell everybody about communications?
I need a sticky. Just one.
What are you gonna do with that sticky, Dave?
I'm going to be on the governance committee. Thank you very much.
Well, this is from the bylaws, short description that the Communications Committee prepares, reviews, and approves all official Tillamook County Democrats news, information, and communication through print and electronic media. So that's, anything that has the Tillamook County logo on it, it's gonna be speaking for the whole organization. So we have a committee that, we review written material or any other kind of material in the committee, discuss it, have some questions, we proposed it, and then we take a vote, and it's majority decides what we're gonna do with it. We're flexible and with working with the person who suggested something to change that or alter. We also have all kinds of, we write and release press releases. We create the door hangers, the slate cards, and just get them distributed. We have the website, Facebook page. We do e-blasts to our full mailing list, anything we want to get out into the community. We have the monthly newsletter, and we create posters and any kind of signage for the fair booth. And there's all kinds of signs up in the office that were generated by the communications committee. So we can, we have lots of duties, but we can break them up into, smaller tasks for members.
How often do you meet and when?
We meet the first Thursday of each month at 6 o'clock in the main room.
All virtual.
Oh, yeah. And we really would welcome and invite people to join us. We need some new ideas and fresh ideas. Okay.
Yes, Karen.
Janet McIntyre was a member of our group for many, many, many years. She has moved to a small mountain town in Georgia. She is so big, because she, of course, we all love. And so she took the latest one to her Democratic committee, because she's involved. And they were so impressed that they decided to do a newsletter. And I just wanted to say, Mark, Kim, the communications, it's a fabulous, fabulous newsletter, and thank you. And now you're known as Ben's committee.
Speech, speech.
Yes. Not loudly. Question for next year are the June Dairy Parade. We have Cheryl Davy, who has a car, who's willing and wanting to manage that. The Dory Parade, Angel Crow is working on that. We have the Home and Garden Show application is here. The fair, we've had the same, we're the oldest group out at the Tillamook County Fair. And
I think probably one of the best spots.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it definitely needs a chair of the communication. Maybe Ruth will move up as vice chair, but she's already taking on more, so definitely this committee needs some leadership. So hopefully you'll put your name up on the board.
So that's it then.
When do you meet and how?
Second Thursday at 6 p.m. on Zoom.
I'm chair of the governance and by the bylaws, we're supposed to review the bylaws every 2 years. And we tend to review them more frequently. We take suggestions from the membership, you know, like maybe you could change this or whatever. We also either generate policies or ask committees to generate policies. It seemed to, sometimes things come up. I think I wrote a note to myself that somebody had asked about a form. It's like, okay, well, we can generate a form, then we can bring it. And then the membership votes on these things. Anyway, so that's what we do. We meet randomly.
But always virtually.
No, we do not, and this is something that we do not do. We do not meet virtually. And that is because those of us who have been on this committee for a really long time feel that we work far better when we are together. And so even during COVID, we did not meet virtually, and I don't think we're gonna meet virtually, okay? It's not a huge commitment. When we get together, it's rarely for less than like 4 hours, and sometimes it's like an all-day thing, but then there can be months when we don't get together. I am going to try to put together a meeting for January. We have some things to do, but anyway, that's what we do.
I can say at the governance committee meetings, the food is.
Hospitality, and what that is just snack mode. I do that on a variety of different platforms, so, you know, it's an easy task. So please sign up, I'm the only one there. And no, we don't meet, we just send out blasts when we have events that need snacks.
Elections. Okay, there is there a chair for elections?
There isn't, but I can talk about it. I've been on the elections committee for several years now. I started as the interim chair and continued that way for several years, and finally said I can't do it anymore. So we don't have a chair, but Mary McGinnis and I have been kind of leading the committee just so it doesn't die. It's really an important committee. We meet virtually on the third Friday of each month at 9 o'clock in the morning, unless we're too busy. But we usually do meet virtually, and we've been working hard trying to get the committee up and moving again, because we do have the local elections, as David has indicated. They're really important, and there are a lot of positions that will be open. And that's part of the elections committee role, is to identify what positions are going to be open, and also to try to recruit good candidates for those positions. And that's something that we're planning on working on beginning at the beginning of the year, is getting a strategy for recruitment and getting some really good progressive Democrats elected in our next election. Other things that the elections committee, well, what we have done in the past is work to get those candidates who we have recruited or, you know, support to prepare them for their elections, and, you know, guide them in their elections, and to be able to perform well in the forum presentations.
And endorsements.
And endorsements. That's another thing that under the bylaws, the elections committee makes recommendations as far as do endorse or do not endorse. And also to
Just candidates.
just candidates. Yes, not, what do you call it? Ballot measures, right. We also find partnerships in the community. We worked with, Indivisible, I think that's what they were called, the local Indivisible group, in the last local elections, and we'll be looking at other partnerships coming up in this election. So we need a lot of help. So please sign up to be on the elections committee, and if anyone wants to chair it, you're welcome.
And, you know, so some of the committees don't have chairs, but I don't think people should be afraid of being a chair. It's good experience if you haven't worked a lot on boards and things. On top of which, it's not really all that hard. You have to figure out when you're gonna have your meeting, make sure all your members can come, and then you put together an agenda. And that's one of the things as first vice chair that I'm really interested in, is making sure that all these committees understand this is what the chair does, and this is what you have to do. And then once you have an agenda, it's pretty simple. So you shouldn't be afraid of it. Fundraising, our fundraising chair. But anyway, there's only one person there, and theoretically, fundraising group is supposed to come up with ideas as to how to raise money. And on your budget, there's the political pie party. It is an event, but at the same time, it's also a fundraiser. So I think usually when they did that, that was kind of a big thing. You'd have a speaker, and then you'd have pie, and you would buy pie, and any pies that were left over were auctioned. So, I can't actually read the next one. Infrastructure. Do we don't really have an infrastructure?
Well,
policy about it.
I'm basically the infrastructure committee, and I would love to have help, involvement, whatever, anyone who's willing to work on stuff like that.
Building bridges or?
Well, the infrastructure is anything to do with computers.
And then there's the legislative committee, and Steve Hunter is the chair.
Yeah, legislative committee, we did research. So, the bylaws, say, that we, research, maintains and provides training, for all digital tools required in the operation of the TCDCC. No, I'm reading the wrong thing, sorry guys. Oh, it's bigger.
Yeah, I handed you the.
Oh, there, you handed it to me perfectly. So yeah, we follow federal, state, and local governance, track proposed legislation, ordinances, policies of interest to us. We submit proposals for desired legislation, ordinances, and policies. Last year, we got together to do the ceasefire in Gaza, and that was really awesome. I think we were one of the first that I saw, especially rural, to get a message out for that. That was really cool. So legislative, if there's anything going on in town that you want information on, come to us and we'll research it, or nationally. And our members aren't really, we have a couple new ones that are awesome, but we definitely need people. And even if you don't want to be a member, but you find yourself seeing something going on in town that you want research, come in and we'll research it. We'll look at bills. We'll bring it to the main body. If we vote on it, we'll try to get the word out and talk to legislators and try to get bills put forward.
When do you meet?
The third Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. on Zoom. That's right. Yeah, we'd love to have any new members. Feel free to show up.
And this is a long session of our state legislature, so this committee is going to be really important this year. What's happening and what's going on. And the last one is membership. Yeah,
I'm on top of that.
okay, yeah, thank you.
Membership, as has been stated here several times today, just the committee is dormant, is a good way to say it right now. And I have been on membership off and on since I've been a PCP. And when the last time we had a really effective membership chair was Kathleen Marvin. And she was new to all of this, so I partnered with her and helped her learn what membership does. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. So we have this little bylaw in the TillcoDems that says that if you're an officer, which would be us three, that you can't be a chair of a committee. And I think that was passed way before I joined. And I think it was passed to keep 4 officers from completely controlling the whole organization and to encourage more people to come in. So I don't think I can really be the chair of the membership committee, but I want to take a strong hand in revitalizing it. And what membership does is basically support the PCPs. Because you are elected. I like to tell people, I was on the same ballot with Governor Kotek and Senator Wyden, and I'm important. But I don't have any supplies to do my job. And so that's what membership does. We train the PCPs and we get the supplies in their hands that they need to do their jobs, basically. It's not, if you like doing things behind the scenes, this is a good membership membership is a good committee for that. It's not like elections where you might have to go out and knock on doors or something like this. This is more organizing how to help the PCPs. So put your name up there and maybe Mark.
You also work to actively recruit PCPs.
Yes, yes. We would be glad to do that too. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you. So, this is your chance. Some of you have already done this, but I have a couple more of these pads. So I'm gonna,
Could you explain to people how if you're a committee chair, you're also part of XCOM and what that entails?
I didn't think that. You mean, if you're a committee chair? Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so we have, so one of the standing committees is the executive committee. And the executive committee is composed of the elected officers and the chair of each one of those committees. Okay, so that's what your executive committee does. And the executive committee puts together the agenda for the general meeting, but if things come up in between times, they often handle whatever that might be. So,
and XCOM meets when? Just so people.
It tends to meet the Thursday before the general meeting. And it meets at night, and I think we've been meeting at 7.
So, right.
Yeah, and that's a Zoom meeting. As far as I know, every one of those is a Zoom meeting except for governance. So, this is your opportunity to take a sticky. You can take 2 or 3, whatever, we got a lot of them, and write your name, your contact information, and then stick it up on the committee that you want to be a part of.
And if I might interject here. I've been the chair of many committees over the years. And I have some really great training materials on how to chair a committee. I'd be happy for those of you who've never chaired a committee before, who'd like to. I'll be happy to do a training, supply you with all the materials that you could possibly need, and get you started and help mentor you through this sort of thing if you want that kind of training. If you do, just get in touch with me, let me know, we'll set something up. I can do it in a couple hours typically, but I won't leave you hanging out there all by yourself. I'll be happy to attend your meetings and give you a hand if you need it. But I do have some great materials that are just sitting on my dining room table right now. I'd love to get them out to where they're doing some good. Now, if you all run up and sign up for a committee.
and nobody leaves the room until.
And no, and with that, the meeting is hereby adjourned.
Oh.
Good job, Dave.
Good job, you.